Why are you always the one left out? Why does it feel like no one truly gets you? You're not bitter, just tired of the silence, the fake smiles, the one-sided loyalty. But here's the truth no one tells you. Chosen ones walk alone, because not everyone can carry the weight of your spirit. Your soul is rare. Your energy is disruptive. And your path isn't made for crowds. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to stand apart. People assume the chosen have it easy. That favor means you're always surrounded by love, applause, support. But in reality, the higher you're called, the lonelier the walk becomes. You see, when you carry light, darkness feels uncomfortable around you. And most people, even the ones who smiled at you, aren't ready to walk beside someone who sees too deeply, feels too honestly, and lives too boldly. That's why your phone doesn't ring. That's why you stop getting invited. That's why you feel alone in rooms full of people. Because you're not here for small talk and surface-level vons. You crave depth. You crave real. You crave connection that sees your soul. And that scares people. Your very presence reminds others of what they've buried. You carry truth, and truth disrupts comfort zones. You love authentically, and that threatens those who wear masks. You forgive deeply, and that unsettles those who build walls. You're not cold. You've just been burned too many times by those who called themselves friends, but couldn't handle your growth. Because the moment you outgrew their dysfunction, you became too much. Too intense, too deep, too wise. But the real issue, you started seeing through them. Chosen ones often walk alone because their vision is too clear for the blind to follow. You've been misunderstood not because you're wrong, but because you're ahead. Your intuition reads things people aren't ready to admit. You pick up on energy shifts, silent betrayals, and fake support before it even happens. And that makes people uncomfortable. So instead of growing with you, they distance themselves from you. And yet, even in your isolation, you still love. Even when they walk away, you still pray for them. That's the mark of a chosen one. Your soul is different. Not bitter, just built different. But here's where it gets deeper. God removes people when you're entering a new level. Some friends weren't enemies. They were just seasonal. Their chapter in your story was necessary, but not permanent. They were assigned to your past, not your destiny. And you sensed it, didn't you? That tug in your spirit, that quiet knowing that they were no longer aligned. But you held on, hoping they'd grow with you, hoping they'd see your heart, hoping they'd cheer for you like you did for them. But instead, silence, distance, shade, until you realize it's not personal, it's spiritual. Chosen ones lose friends not because they're flawed, but because their calling demands clarity. You can't hear divine instructions through noisy attachments. So sometimes, God subtracts before He multiplies. That's why your circle got smaller. That's why the people you thought would be there forever faded. Because where you're going, you can't afford dead weight. And that hurts. It really hurts. You miss them. You replay the memories. You wonder if you did something wrong. But deep down, you know, this loneliness is not a punishment. It's preparation. Solitude is where God whispers secrets to your spirit, where He refines you, strengthens you, where He teaches you to depend not on applause, but alignment. You've been hidden, not forgotten. Separated, not rejected. You're in the sacred season of becoming, and it looks lonely, but it's holy. Because when the time is right, real connections will come. People who see you, not just your gift. People who value you, not just what you do for them. People who water your soul the way you've watered theirs. But you had to walk alone first. You had to learn the difference between chemistry and covenant, between those who like your vibe and those who carry your vision, between those who smile in your face and those who stand in the fire with you. So yes, chosen one, you have no friends right now. But it's not because you're unlovable. It's because your soul requires more than convenience. You require truth, and truth is rare. You're being protected. God is preserving your energy, your mission, your mantle. He's showing you who's really for you and who's just around you. Let them believe. Let them misunderstand you. Let them say you've changed, because you have. You've evolved. And people who love the old version of you will always struggle with your transformation. But don't shrink. Don't hide. Don't start questioning your worth just because the room got quiet. Your silence is sacred. Your presence is prophetic. And your path is set apart. One day, those who left will look back and realize they walked away from a rare soul. A soul that loved without conditions. A soul that gave without keeping score. A soul that saw them, even when they couldn't see themselves. But by then, you won't need their friendship. You'll be surrounded by purpose, by peace, by people who pour back into you. So hold your head high, wipe those tears, and keep walking. Because chosen ones don't need a crowd. They just need God. And with Him, you're never truly alone. There comes a moment in every chosen one's life when you realize not everyone who starts the journey with you is meant to finish it with you. And as painful as it is, you start to see that losing friends isn't the curse, it's the clearing. Because real elevation requires separation. And where you're going, it's high ground. Only those with clean hands and pure hearts can go with you. You were never meant to walk in crowds. You were built for assignments, for callings that isolate before they elevate. And while others chase validation, you were designed to carry revelation. That's a heavy load. And not everyone has the capacity to walk beside that kind of calling. Sometimes your very presence convicts people, not because you judge them, but because your light shines where they've been hiding. It's not your fault you're intense. It's not your fault you feel deeply, speak truthfully, love fiercely. It's just how you're wired. And people who aren't rooted in authenticity don't know how to hold space for someone like you. Friendships with the chosen are never casual. They're divine. But divine connection also means divine pruning. And yes, even divine loneliness. You've probably noticed this. You've had seasons where you were everyone's counselor, everyone's healer, everyone's lifeline. But the moment you needed help, silence. People ghosted. People minimized your pain. They told you to be strong, to keep going, to pray about it. But no one sat with you in the dark. That's the lonely cost of carrying light. They come to you when they need it, but when you dim, they disappear. They weren't friends. They were receivers. You were the well. They were the bucket. And once they got what they needed, they moved on. But don't be bitter. Be wiser. Because every friendship that failed was a filter. And every time someone walked away, God was protecting the sacred oil on your life. Your peace is too expensive to be in hands that don't value it. Your spirit is too sensitive to be around chaotic souls. And your purpose is too divine to be attached to people who can't grow beyond yesterday. Sometimes the loneliness is God's way of detoxing you from codependency, teaching you how to walk with Him, not just with them. He isolates before He elevates, because crowds will clap for your gift, but not everyone will carry your cross. You've been misunderstood your whole life. Even as a child, you probably felt different. You saw things others didn't. You asked questions adults couldn't answer. You had dreams that felt too vivid. You noticed energies, sensed motives, read people's hearts through their words. And that gift, it never left. It only grew. But as it grew, your friendships shrank. Because truth readers make the best healers, but the loneliest humans. And that loneliness can feel like punishment until you realize it was preparation. God was teaching you to rely on Him, not on applause. To walk with boldness, not with popularity. To operate in truth, not in trend. And when you finally get to the place where silence feels safer than shallow friendships, that's when the right people start to show up. Because chosen ones don't need crowds, They need alignment. You'll know who's real not by how much they talk, but by how deeply they see you. They'll notice your silence. They'll check on your spirit, not just your status. They won't just celebrate your wins. They'll cover you in your losses. These people are rare, but they do exist. And they're not loud. They're chosen too. They've been through their own wilderness, their own pruning, their own transformation. So when they meet you, they recognize you. But until then, walk strong in your solitude. Don't compromise who you are just to feel included, because inclusion in the wrong room will weaken your spirit, and attention from the wrong people will distract your path. You weren't built for fake smiles and shallow talk. You were made to shift atmospheres just by showing up, to shake foundations just by speaking truth, to unlock healing just by being real. That's why the wrong people fell off. Not because you were too much, but because they were too small for where you're going. You don't need more friends. You need more faith, because God is surrounding you with people who won't compete, but complement. People who don't dim your light, but reflect it.